What's going on, guys? It's Royalty Crypto here and welcome back to my channel. So I had to make a bit of an emergency post here just because it seems like Coinbase just officially declared that we are not going into a bear market, and I really wanted to break down this X post for you guys because I find it very interesting. Also, I'm going to be going over a couple of different pieces of news that came out this morning that could affect the prices of Bitcoin and crypto in the next couple of weeks, so certainly don't miss that. And guys, before we get into all of that, this is a brand new channel and I would greatly appreciate it if you guys could like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get right on into this video. So as you guys can see here, Coinbase posted on X that October's sell-off wasn't the end of the cycle. It may have been the reset it needed. So guys, that's what I've been talking about for the past 2 to 3 weeks in all of my videos. And I really have mentioned all of this already, but the fact that Coinbase is, posting it publicly on their X account really does go to show that what we've been preaching is very valid and true. And then they go on to say, excess leverage is flushed, fundamentals remain intact, and institutional players are quietly rotating back in. So let's go ahead and start with the excess leverage being flushed. Basically what they mean by that is there was absurd amounts of long traders trading on leverage back when we were breaking all-time highs at 125,000. And of course, 3 weeks later, basically every single person who was trading on long leverage ended up getting liquidated. And that was the main reason for this significant dump in the prices of Bitcoin and crypto. And when you go on over to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see that there is almost no long leverage left in the market at this point. There's only about $100 million in long leverage, but when you look at the short leverage, there's well over $4 billion in shorts. So in my opinion, and in Coinbase's opinion, this is a much more bullish looking chart than what it was when we were at 125,000, because now it's much more likely that there will be a short squeeze to the upside. And I talk about this in basically all my videos, so I'm not going to get too deep into this. But if you guys want more information, just go ahead and watch the video that I posted this morning. Let's go ahead and go back to Coinbase's tweet. So another thing that they mentioned was that institutional players are quietly rotating back in. So I don't know if you guys watched my short from a couple of days ago, but I had mentioned that JP Morgan and USDT were buying significant amounts of Bitcoin in the past couple of days. USDT in particular had bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin at $100,000. In my opinion, when smart money is making moves like this, it really does go to show that they expect that we'll have a very bullish next couple of months. And if they expect that, they probably know something that we don't. All right, let's go down to the key takeaways here. So the leverage is cleaner, but liquidity gaps remain. So what they mean by liquidity gaps is the CME gaps in Bitcoin, which is definitely a bit of a short-term bearish catalyst. So when you're looking at the current CME gaps in Bitcoin, you can see that there's a gap between 92,000 to 93,000. Now this gap has been here for months and we have yet to fill it, but it is very likely that we will fill this gap at some point. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be, in the next couple of weeks to months. Maybe we'll fill it in the next bear market, which I expect to be sometime in late 2026 to early 2027. That is definitely possible. But nonetheless, guys, just keep this in mind. If we do dip down to 92,000, it's not necessarily a bearish thing because we would be filling this gap and we would no longer need to worry about this. And the last thing I wanted to talk about this post was this down here. We think this is a base building phase before the next leg up, not a cycle top. So I totally agree, guys. I mean, I think that this recent dip was very healthy for the markets, but I certainly don't think that we're going into a bear market. It just really makes no sense in terms of the macro, and I believe that trading based on macro catalysts is probably your best bet. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at this tweet as well. So President Trump says that he will sign the crypto market structure legislation to grow the industry more than people ever thought. So yeah, guys, this is yet another very bullish catalyst. I mean, as soon as this market legislation is finally signed, it's a very good chance that, big institutions will finally start to invest into Bitcoin. Now, I know that some institutions are investing in Bitcoin. We haven't really seen any massive company like Nvidia, Meta, or Amazon or any of those people start to invest into Bitcoin, but it is very possible that once they have crypto regulation, these companies might start to actually invest in the space, which would of course be very bullish in the long term. All right, guys, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is a bit of a rumor, but nonetheless, it is definitely important in the short term. So as we can see here, Trump says that we need to reopen the government immediately. And there is rumor circulating right now that there is going to be a big announcement related to this on Monday. So I don't know if we'll necessarily see the government reopen on Monday, However, I do believe that we are getting very close to that. And as soon as the government reopens, guys, it definitely clears a lot of the uncertainty that is surrounding the macro at the moment, which is obviously bullish for risk on assets. And last time the government was shut down for this long, when it reopened, the markets actually did pump for 7 weeks straight. Now, I can't guarantee that that will happen again this time, but if it does, then you can imagine where crypto might be in 7 weeks from now. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy your Saturday night, and I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. Peace.